All right, so we're going to go over this quiz. 15 minutes. That should have been enough time yesterday, right? I wanted to make sure that.
Personnel went to go and put in the attendance.
Oh, okay. All right.
It was enough time for everybody but him.
We'll call this the key. All right. So count it. Don't give yourself a check if you didn't get it. I guess give yourself an X or give yourself a check if you did get it. All right. So here's the graph. The limit as X goes to -2 from the left. -2 from the left. We're going down. So negative infinity would be the preferred answer. But because it is a fill in the blank, short answer response, D and E is still correct. All right. All right. So negative infinity or D and E. Questions on that one? All right, cool. -2 from the right-hand side. -2 from the right. The preferred answer again is this time positive infinity, but D and E is acceptable. Okay. Questions on that one? All right. So yeah, 15 minutes should have been enough time. And now on number 3, it's the limit as X goes to 3. Is that from the left or the right? Both. Good. It's the general limit. And remember, only if the limit from both sides is the same and exists, will the limit exist and be that number. So we look at 3, right? There's not a accented dot there. Do you want to put one? We can, right? Correct. Let's go ahead and put the dot there. All right. So the limit from the left of 3 and the limit from the right of 3. Just looking at it, you know the general limit exists, and of course they're both approaching the x-axis where the y value is 0. Yeah, so that's going to be the third check. Hey, just for kicks and giggles, is this function continuous at 3?
Yes.
Yeah, because the limit from the left equals the limit from the right. We already know that, but they're connected by the dot, right, which is the bridge. Yeah, and then f of 0. F of 0 is the function value at 0. And what is it?
1.
It's 1, right? So again, there's not an accented point there, but you certainly can put one. So yeah, I'll do that first, just because we have 15 minutes, right? So 1. So there's your fourth check. So hopefully that was like a gimme, right? Boom, ba-doom, boom, boom. Questions on 1 through 4. All right. And then for questions 5 and 6, hopefully you understood the instructions. I kind of typed them up 2 or 3 different ways, different times, trying to make sure that y'all would understand them in my absence, okay? Use the same graph, right? Number 1, or part I, determine if f is continuous using the 3-step definition. Show all your analysis, use correct notation, justify the answer. Part II, give the name and location of the discontinuity. And then part II, set up and evaluate the general limit if it exists. Okay, at x equals -1. So here's what we're going to do. We've already got 4 checks. So we're going to have the limit as x goes to -1 from the left. What's the function's name? F, right? So f or f of x. That's going to be check number 5. Okay. If you're missing any of that, you don't get the 5th check. Technically, you could just have F if you wanted to. Okay, that's the only thing you would be able to leave off. So that's the 5th check. And then we got F of -1. That notation is the 6th check. And then we have the limit as x goes to -1 from the right of f or f of x. And that's the 7th check. So no surprises there. It's all or nothing, right? In this problem, the notation is the check. All right, now we evaluate it. -1 from the left is -1. So that'll be the 8th check. F of -1. Now we look up and down for the dot. You see the dot? Yeah, I see the dot. It's the same as the left-sided limit, right? It's -1. That's good. So we'll put -1 there, and that's the 9th check. And then the limit from the right of -1. Hey, come on in. You can already start grading it. The limit from the right of -1, if you come over here, it's approaching 0. So 0 would be the 10th check. So far, so good? All right. Now there's 2 more checks still for part I. We'll call this part I. In any order, you can have the justification or the answer first. I'm going to go ahead and say since or because, either one. -1 does not equal 0. That's going to be check number 11, comma, f is not continuous at x equals -1. And that's the 12th check. You need all of that, okay? Those two can be flipped, right? F is not continuous at x equals -1, since -1 does not equal 0. If you left off anything on the right side, like you left off F or you left off the location, you don't get the check, okay? All right, now, part 2, give and name the location of the discontinuity. Let's see if we can do it from the data instead of looking at the graph, because the graph makes it too easy, right? And we want to train ourselves a little bit. So the general limit doesn't exist because -1 doesn't equal 0, but the 2 one-sided limits do exist. They're just going to different y values. That's the telltale sign of a what? A jump, okay? So F has a jump at x equals -1, okay? There you go. We don't list it as an ordered pair. It's at x equals -1. You don't say at -1 because there's already a y value that's -1, and we want to be sure we know which one's which. If you said non-removable jump discontinuity, that's fine. You don't need to. You could just say jump. Yes, Grady?
I did not know what these were meaning when I was taking the quiz.
What? Number 2?
Yeah, because we didn't go over them in the notes.
Oh, we did. We did. We absolutely, we did it every single time we named what the discontinuity was. Yeah. Did you raise your hand and ask the sub? No. Did you call it a jump anywhere? If you didn't call it part II, but you have anywhere on there, F has a jump at x equals -1, give yourself credit. Oh, okay. Yes, sir.
Do you have to have F has a jump at x equals 1?
What do you have?
I just put jump at x equals 1.
Yeah, I was worried that some people would do that. If you just have this, it's okay today, but only today. We need to get in the habit of speaking in complete sentences. Yeah. All right. Now, I do want you to say F is not continuous up here, right? Because we did practice train. I did harp on that. But moving forward now, you should always have a complete sentence. All right. And then part III. Set up and evaluate the general limit. Okay, so LIM as x goes to -1 of f. I'm going to give you a check for the notation. And you either put an equal sign or you write directly underneath there. Well, remember for the general limit, you compare the 2 one-sided limits. -1 does not equal 0, does it? So you could say equals DNE. Like that, off to the side. That would be the 15th check. Or you could write it like this. The general limit as x goes to -1 of f of x. And then you could put DNE underneath it as well. Either way. Okay. Yes, sir. You didn't write the limit notation? I said set up and evaluate the general limit. Give yourself one of the two. Yeah, give yourself one of the two. Okay. Good question. Any other questions? All right. So that's fifth. Let's move on to part 6. Okay. At x equals 2. So we're going to set up the notation. The limit as x goes to 2 from the left of f. That is already a check, right? That's check number 16. And then we got f of 2. That's check number 17. And then we have the limit as x goes to 2 from the right of f. That's check number 18. So notation, notation, notation. The process is as important as the product. All right, now we come up here to the graph and we evaluate it. Positive 2 from the left is negative 2. So that's the 19th check. F of 2. There happens to be a dot, right? It's right here at negative 1. So this is negative 1, and that's the 20th check already. Wow. And then the limit from the right of 2, if we look at the graph, it's going to the open circle. Do your math homework, which is also at negative 2. So that's the 21st check. All right, so now we're singing the second verse of the same song, right? In this case, is it continuous? No, so this would be part I still. So, and then you could flip it around if you want, or keep it the same way. I'm going to use word because this time. You can use because or since. Because negative 2 does not equal negative 1. Okay, that's your 22nd check. Could you also say because negative 1 does not equal 2, negative 2? Yes. Yeah, absolutely, right. Because of that, comma, F is once again not continuous at, but this time x equals 2. That's your answer. That's the 23rd check. So again, this is your justification. And this is your answer. Okay, so part II. Brady, what type of discontinuity do we have there based upon, since you didn't get a chance to do it on the quiz, when the two one-sided limits are the same, but the middle is different, I think you said that, but the middle is different, either it doesn't exist or it's a different number, we have a hole, right? Good. So we'll say then that F has a hole, and that's a removable point discontinuity. So at the ordered pair is 2 comma what? Negative 2 or negative 1? Negative 2. Good. It's the y value of the limit. So this is your 24th check. And again, if you just have hole at, this is okay today only, but not in the future. Complete sentences. Complete sentences. If you just said hole at x equals 2, no dice. I'm not going to give you 2 checks for that. One for the x, one for the y. We'll just do the ordered pair. Okay. And then I, the general limit, we'll set it up. The limit as x goes to, what was the x value? 2 of f of x. Does it exist this time? Yeah, the limit from the left is negative 2. The limit from the right is negative 2. So we'll give you checks again. We'll do 25 for the notation. And then this equals, and Cole, don't count off again. We'll just do that on one time for the other one. So this is negative 2. That's your 26th check. So what did you write there, Cole? Did you put? I just wrote good. Give yourself both checks this time. Yeah. So of the 4 checks for that, you only lose 1 for not writing the limit. No double whammy. I don't want a double whammy. Or of course, do we need to write it the other way? If you write it vertically, the limit as x goes to 2 of f, and then directly underneath there, negative 2. All right, so 26 checks. That was almost 25 checks. Right, 26 checks. Let's see, if there were 25 checks, full price would be what? 4 points a piece? Yeah. So we have to do what? 3 points a piece? Yeah, 3 points a piece would be good. That means that there's a curve built into it. All right. So for each check you did not earn, deduct from 100. Okay. Hopefully the grades were really good on there. This is like free response type stuff on your next test. Very important, right? Notation, ideas, theorems, answers. We're putting the whole package together in this section, right? We're not just taking quizzes. We're producing beautiful, beautiful math booklets that can communicate what we're doing to the layperson who might happen upon our work. Yes, sir. Did you have the right answers for the general limit? Okay, so do the same thing I did for Cole. So of the 4 checks, just take off 1 for the notation. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. All right. Go ahead and make sure that your name is at the top, and to make sure that your grade is at the top. Do you need to see some of these at the top? And then pass them to the front of your column. All right, and then I'll pick them up.